My wife and I welcomed twins in November. We struggled to have children for a long time, 9 years, and had our twins via IVF. It was a long battle to have our babies, and when we chose their names, it was something we not only took seriously but poured a lot of love into because we knew they would be the only children we would name. We chose the first names Ezra and Esme for the twins, but the length was part of the choice for these names. Growing up, I had a long last name, 10 letters, and my parents gave me very formal and lengthy first and middle names, Frederick Lawrence, and I always found my name very stuffy and old-fashioned, so I go by a nickname derived from my middle name now. I also took my wife's much simpler last name when we married. So we announced the name of our twins when they were a day old. When we announced the names, we knew my parents might not be in love with them. Still, I stupidly believed the twins being born would be enough of a deterrent for a negative comment. About a week after their birth, my parents asked what kind of names they had and how we could give them such juvenile and incomplete names. I told them they were neither of those things and they needed to be careful about how they spoke about their grandchildren's names. I thought they listened, but then in January they started calling them Winifred and Douglas. At first we weren't positive they were talking about the twins, but then we were celebrating my niece's birthday and my parents directly addressed my daughter as Winifred and I knew it was them they were talking to. So I told them those were not their names. They said those were nicknames they'd given them, and everyone has a nickname, that it's not like we gave them names that could lend themselves to nicknames. I said Ezzy and Essie if they really wanted nicknames. They ignored me, and they continued to use the nicknames. So we decided not to be around because, on top of that, they were telling my siblings that the names they'd chosen were better for my children. My siblings thought they were crazy. My parents tried to see the kids a few times since, and I always told them no. Finally, they asked why, and I told them they do not get to see our children if all they can do is insult their names. My parents accused me of trying to control them and said nicknames are a part of life. I told them that what they'd done wasn't giving a nickname, it was renaming my children in their own heads, and my wife and I do not want them renaming them. I also said that we wouldn't further encourage the use of the nicknames they gave them. My parents said if I'd stuck to the family way of naming babies, none of this would be happening, and they said I was being unfair to them. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. How? What? You can't turn Robert into Zachary. That's not a nickname. That's a whole damn other name. I would rename the parents. From now on, Esmeralda and Gomez, and address them with their names on their birthday and Christmas cards. Sit back, relax, and don't forget the popcorn for the crap show that will unfold. This is brilliant. New names every single time they're addressed. What your parents are doing is bizarre. You can't just make up completely different names for people because you don't like them. It's disrespectful to you and confusing for the kids. I wouldn't want to be around them either. Your parents sound like narcissists. They are bullying you. Exactly, the names you and your wife chose are lovely. Your parents are straight up cuckoo banana pants. Douglas and Winifred, for babies now, are terrible names. Okay, Winnie is cute, but that's not the point. If you want to be petty, now only give your parents personalised gifts. Ezra loves Nana mug. Esme loves her grandpa, tea. Number 1 grandparents to Ezra and Esme, hand towels. Keychains, mouse pads, beach towels, but I'm petty. Names are important. If your twins want to someday change their names, fine, not the grandparents. You went through so much to have your babies, and congratulations. I, 31 female, am currently doing my residency in internal medicine. It's brutal, but I should be finished in December. I have 5 cousins on my dad's side. Most of them have non-health related careers, but Andy, 32 male, is a chiropractor, and Kayla, 26 female, is a nurse practitioner. Now, my dad's family has had at least 1 or 2 doctors in every generation. My grandpa and his brother were family medicine, my dad was a urologist, and one of my aunts is a pediatrician. When I was in high school and college, my grandparents used to talk about how I would carry on the tradition and be the first doctor in my generation of our family. My other cousins were very clear they weren't interested. Last weekend we had a celebration with my dad's side. At the table, my grandma asked about my residency and how happy they were to see me as the first doctor of my generation. Then Andy butted in and pointed out that he and Kayla are also doctors. I was frankly annoyed and a little tipsy, so I told him that a chiropractor and nurse practitioner aren't the same as a physician. Chiropractic is pseudoscience and can even be dangerous for patients. Nursing is a great career and I'm proud of my cousin for getting her nurse practitioner, but being a nurse practitioner is its own distinct thing. Andy got cranky and called me privileged and arrogant. Kayla kind of took my side but then said something about how nurse practitioner school is just as challenging as medical school and that it's only devalued because nursing is a historically female career path. My grandpa interjected to tell them both to take a seat, that they weren't doctors and shouldn't be claiming to be such. After lunch, Kayla pulled me aside and uninvited me to her private practice grand opening next month. She said she only wanted people cheering her on to attend, and she felt it was best if I skipped. I didn't really want to go anyway. I have very limited free time, so I said I respected that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They sound insecure, and Andy is a jealous one. Kayla should know better than to conflate nursing with being a physician. I agree with Kayla that nursing has been historically devalued due to its traditionally female career. I also think Kayla needs to lighten up a bit. Yep, if they wanted to be physicians, they should have studied medicine. Being a nurse is not the same as being a doctor. I really respect nurses, but again, they're two distinct things. Next time, let Grandma and Grandpa handle it. Clearly, Grandma already agreed with you and you could have sat back and let Andy lose his own argument. Yeah, chiropractics are quacks. If you have actual muscular issues, go to a good physical therapist. It's harder with NPs. Most NPs I've worked with seem a bit touchy about their level of training. I'm a physician. I did literally 10 years of med school residency and fellowship. During residency, I usually put in 80-hour weeks and spent every fourth night in the hospital. Many NPs now do a 3-year program after never being in medicine at all. Most of the medical errors I see and misdiagnoses or really questionable decisions come from NPs. I also have a family member who's an NP. I avoid this subject completely because it can only end with bruised feelings. You are the idiot. Should you have said it? No, you should have kept quiet and made fun of them later in an online doctor forum or something to get it out of your system. But I can see why you did it. It was totally unnecessary to bring attention to that in front of everyone. I'd like to point out that I'm on Team Kayla. Nursing has been historically devalued. I also commend her for how she handled herself, and kudos for her private practice opening. I, 28 female, am a first-time mom. My husband and I have a 6-month-old baby who's teething horribly. I was at my mother's home a few days ago and spoke to her about the teething issues. My mom does some old-fashioned things, and she's really into herbs and natural healing and such, so she wanted to try rubbing whiskey on my daughter's gums. She said she did it to all 3 of my siblings and me. I let her and it seemed to calm my daughter down. When I got home, I told my husband about this and he was furious. He said that's harmful to our daughter and it doesn't relieve any pain. He got really upset and said I shouldn't have let my mom do something like that, and he told me I couldn't bring our daughter to my mother's anymore. He's since called the next 2 days off work and is super paranoid watching me every second with our daughter. I feel this is unfair. You are the idiot, yeah. I mean, you know alcohol is unsafe. It also does not work as a topical analgesic. If the baby qualms, it's because of the general sedative effect. I think it's hilarious how your mother conflates the use of a well-understood but completely inappropriate drug with herbs and natural healing. You're 28 and a mom. You need to make your own judgments, not just listen to your mom without question. I understand you're a new mom and made a mistake, but it's common sense to seek a doctor if something seems wrong with either you or your kid. I understand your husband completely, and you should respect the boundary he's set until he feels comfortable again. However, seems a bit fair he should be paranoid, considering he's a new father as well. Fair? Seriously? This is a traditional remedy that's been used for over 100 years. Yes, we know there are safer and more effective choices today, but a frazzled new mom listening to this advice on one occasion, and she's already the worst mom ever? She didn't fill a sippy cup with bourbon and have the kid go to town. A few drops as a one-time exposure is not medically a cause for concern. There's no defending that overreaction. If you think that's fair, I hope when the husband accidentally bonks the kid on the head while playing, that OP tells him he has to leave the house for a week until he gets his violence under control. OP, you are not the idiot. You made a bad judgment call here and many people will come charging in on their high horses to tell you what a horrible mother you are, as if they've never messed up before. Don't worry about them. You're a first-time mom, so you're naturally going to listen to your own mother when she tries to give you advice. It's natural to look to our elders for guidance and to trust them. The best course of action is to be mature adults about this and have some open communication among the 3 of you. You, him, and your mother. Your mother needs to understand that this is a new boundary. He needs to understand that parents make mistakes and it doesn't do anyone any good to become extreme in such a way. You need to look into things before applying them to your child so that this, or something worse, doesn't happen to your child. I hope this situation is handled well and that all of you can find yourself in a better situation of clearer understanding and progress. My girlfriend, 27, and I, 26 male, both work. I leave the house at 6:30, she leaves at 7:30, and we get home by an hour difference. Usually we both need naps after work. However, this last few days she'll take a nap the entire night into the next morning. She'll get home around 6 and says she needs a nap. Then I don't hear from her again until the next morning. The first day was whatever, she was tired, but it's been 12 business days in a row. I confronted her before about it and she dismissed it immediately, saying she was just tired. No matter what I ask, is work stressful, are you feeling okay, she immediately says it's fine and to drop it. For those days I've been doing all of the housework. Before, we would split tasks 50-50, but now it's more like 99-1. Walking our dog, making dinner, cleaning the place, dishes, all that has been me. I wouldn't complain if there was a reason better than she's sleeping half the time. Friday, she said she was going to have a nap, and I finally snapped and told her no. I'll admit I was aggressive, but I had enough. I said I was sick of her constantly sleeping and leaving me with all the work while she refuses to consider anything was wrong. I said it blankly. We both looked for help for her, or she stopped sleeping so much on her own. She just turned around and left for her sisters. I got an angry call from her mom saying I had no right to deny her sleep. I tried to explain, but she just hung up. My girlfriend isn't responding to my messages, and neither is her family. I don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and why do I see so many people getting phone calls from their SO's moms? Why is a 27-year-old getting her mother to fight her battles? What is up with all the grown-down people running to mommy and daddy? And those parents start calling and giving people crap about being mean to their precious child. What the heck? Your girlfriend needs to grow up in so many ways. My ex used to call my mom and tell on me. This was a 33-year-old man calling his 29-year-old girlfriend's mom at 11 p.m. to yell that I was breaking up with him and he needed her to make me stop. OP, you're right that this is a big behavior change and should be looked into with her doctor. You're also right that it's negatively impacting you and you have the right to be unhappy. She owes you an apology for dismissing your concerns out of hand. You should apologize for snapping, but not the questions. Counterpoint, how many dishes is a sleeping person generating? How much of a mess is she making? Seems like he's upset that he has to clean up the mess he's making. Other than walking the dog, she's contributing less to the housework to do. Also, I'm wondering if she's pregnant. I remember suddenly being that tired out of nowhere. It was brutal. I met my husband 7 years ago when my son was a toddler. We got pregnant with our daughter only 2 months after dating, his only biological child. Things are actually absolutely fantastic in our relationship, despite rushing into things. There have hardly ever been issues until recently. My son's tween birthday is coming up soon and we always told him we'd get him a phone for his birthday. He has honestly been harping on us since he was a young tween because all his friends had a phone and he felt like the oddball. I felt terrible and wanted to cave several times but didn't because my husband and I had already decided together that we would get him one by a certain age. Now that his birthday is right around the corner, he's very fixated and excited that he'll be able to get a phone. He's fully expecting it, which I already knew would happen because of how many times we told him. When you're this age. Well, I was looking at phones online the other day that had some parental controls and all that happy jazz, and my husband decided at this moment that he doesn't think my son is old enough for a phone and that he should have to wait until he's at least a mid-teen. I told him that absolutely wasn't happening, but entertained his reasoning to figure out the why. He said that basically he didn't want my kid to have access to any form of social media and he feels that getting him a phone would be forcing him to grow up too fast and be subjected to the media and ignorance. I reiterated that this was our deal with my kid and that I wasn't going back on it. I don't even agree with his reasoning, to be 100% honest with you, but I didn't tell him that. I just said I wasn't going back on a promise. He argued it for easily 30 minutes saying, no, he doesn't even need a phone. Before I finally told him that he had absolutely no say on this and I was getting my kid a cell phone. He snaps back with, then it had better be a flip phone because I don't want him on the damn internet. He hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the idiot? Half of my friends are on my side, but the other half says I need to consider what he's saying. My husband hates mainstream media and talks about it at least once a week. Not the idiot. Sorry, but to push this issue another 3 years after making your son wait will shatter any trust he has in you both. Better to make rules, use parental software effectively, and teach him responsibility than alienate him like this. Also, your husband is dead wrong. The kid needs to learn how to use a smartphone safely and sensibly. At his age, your relationship is still close and you can guide him. By mid-teen years, his peers will be first, and they will have been on the internet for 5 years and more. LOL at adults who think they can keep kids off the internet. My sister gave her kids phones when they turned 10. This is only because her son skipped grades and ended up in the class surrounded by tweens, with pretty much everyone having phones. And to be fair, the other got hers at the same age. Though both were pretty mature at that age, my sister kept a close eye on them because she wanted them to wait until they were your son's age. The kids never abused that privilege. My personal opinion is your kid responsible enough for a phone? If you trust your kid to come to you in times of problems, he's ready for one. Just teach them basic internet safety. Yeah, this issue is not about a phone and will be more of a thing the older your son gets. Your husband's afraid because he knows the more your son is exposed to the world, the more chance he has of realizing that perhaps his, your husband's, views on certain things might be incorrect.